Hello, my name is JT Norimaki, and I'll be submitting Mighty Switch Force 2 for this upcoming GDQ event. I would like to run any % New Game Plus, which is basically the same run that was done by Tony Ogbot in the 2015 GDQ event. I would like to propose an alternate donation incentive in regards to being able to do 100% New Game Plus, which involves not only saving the Hooligan Sisters, but also the babies and all the stages. Only adds just a few minutes to the overall run, so no big impacts in regards to meeting the I forget the word I'm looking for here, the estimate for the run. It's only just a few minutes, so not a huge impact, but a way to generate maybe some more money for the marathon and the overall run and scope. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the run here. We'll do some commentary throughout the run, so sit back, relax, enjoy, and hopefully you guys will consider this for the upcoming GDQ event. Thank you much. 3, 2, 1, and go! So we're going to start out with this very basic tutorial stage here, which basically is just teaching the basics of the game. You use the hose to be able to knock out fires, you have to jump over gaps with spikes obviously, and you pick up the door. So after they get you that, you start to mix it up pretty quickly, which is a nice progression. I mean, it's teaching you the basics of the game without too much hassle. It's very easy to figure out, and you'll notice that obviously the switch mechanic of the game showcases that the blocks go between the foreground and the background. Now, obviously, you know that you can pass through them when they're in the background. You can't pass through them when they're in the foreground, and obviously there's a danger of squashing yourself with these, which they don't necessarily teach you. You have to kind of find that out the hard way. We're going to try to avoid that wherever possible, obviously, because again, this is a speed run, so it's kind of fast. But you learn in the speed run being a puzzle platformer, what makes it so satisfying is the fact that it is a number of different type jumps that can save you a little bit of time, or even some significant amount of time, depending on which jump we're talking about here, or maybe you can skip something that was pretty intended in regards to how you get to the stage. But once you can grab all the sisters, you basically meet up with your Gendarmer, who takes you out of the stage, and away you go. And wow, I actually just beat my personal best there by quite a bit. That's pretty nice. Alright, new mechanic here. We've got these shooting blocks that basically launches our heroine up in the direction. Did not need to switch ahead of walking in there. Sorry, that was very minor time loss, and now each switch is only going to cost you like maybe half a second at the worst, so no biggie. Just doesn't look as swaggy, obviously, when you're not flying through these stages. Be careful of that hole that I just created. If you fall down there, you lose significant amounts of time. So in order to follow the route, you definitely want to make sure you're doing that. So this wasn't a terrible stage overall. It could have been a little bit smoother in some parts, but otherwise, pretty quick, pretty easy route. And of course, we just match those screens really quick just because, you know, it wastes time if you're sitting there waiting for things to happen. But again, with the New Game Plus, obviously, we're using this mighty hose, which you'll notice is burning through split blocks. So split blocks would normally be handled and taken out by these flaming coal guys that you'll see, but I just don't really care to use. And I have a way of just burning right through everything without having to wait for recyclings and things like that to occur. So it makes this go a lot faster than you would normally see in the standard normal New Game run. And again, I got this guy here. Kind of annoying when he gets in your way because obviously it's a little bit of damage, which isn't a huge time loss or anything. We're not in any danger of really taking a death there or anything like that. But again, the babies I was talking about in 100%, you see that one there. That would be what we'd be rescuing along with the sisters in order to beat the stages and consider it the new game, or 100%. Now, you'll notice the hose mechanics are interesting because the longer you hold down the button, kind of the more pressure the gun has to shoot a little bit further. So occasionally you have to kind of let off of that in order to allow things to kind of cool down and be able to hit like a shorter shot. So you'll be seeing some tapping mechanics along with that. Ooh, and I made that very tight jump there. If you bump into the switch, or bump into the block, or jump a little too early, you will miss that particular one, and then add just like a second or two overall, it's like nothing major.
Area secure!
But, you know, again, it allows me to catch that monster in a much better part of the cycle, which, by the way, there is no RNG movement with these monsters in any way, shape, or form. They all move on a cycle. They react the same every time you see them. There's nothing that can change with them, so... Alright, now is to hopefully get this monster down here. Nope, I missed it somewhere. Normally this guy would be down. Alright, you get him a little bit sooner, save yourself just a smidge of time. Quite a few seconds actually in that particular case. That's actually kind of bad. So you'll notice if you're switching things, obviously you're kind of manipulating the entire stage. It's not just based on the local area that you're around. The whole stage is impacted, so monsters will get squished by things, or they will be dropped or raised or whatever, depending on when you're doing particular switches. So ideally, in the perfect route, what you would have is that guy down, and you'd shoot him and be able to just go right back up without having to wait for him to be able to be dropped down. But again, not a huge time loss, just kind of an annoyance in the overall run. Not ideal, but you can see we get a really good RTA time and potential to get a shot at it. Hitting this save checkpoint, very important, because if something goes catastrophically wrong here, you would get sent back way further than you'd want to in any particular decent attempt. Nothing to get it. Okay, got it. And again, you'll see these shorter shots here utilized because obviously you would overshoot the blocks and you have to kind of manipulate things. This stage is easily done within a minute. In your ideal time, obviously, you'd be sub-minute for that particular one. I had a couple of bonks and mistakes there. They weren't too detrimental, but obviously you can see 4 seconds. So, you know, it's little things like that that obviously makes it a lot more satisfying when you're really doing things the way that they are done in the speed run. You're just plowing through these stages, which normally, if you're playing this for the first time, you probably take minutes upon minutes to get there. As a thing when I was learning this game initially. I paused there for a second just to make sure that I got the jump. That's the quicker way to do it. I probably still lost about 2 seconds for that pause, but again, you know, very quick stage. You blink, you miss it, it's pretty much over.
Let's go.
Alright, new mechanic introduced here with these blocks, where if you stand on it and you switch, they don't actually fade out. So now we add a little more complexity to the overall puzzling aspect of this game, getting things in the proper way. Again, no RNG, just have to know patterns, plug right on through, you switch things properly, and boom, you're just going to plug right onto the stage. So again, looks really cool when you're doing it, in a speedrun sense. We're going to use the no RNG thing now, and obviously if something goes catastrophically wrong in the run, your cycles are going to be off because it does keep the memory of all the switching that you've done to that point in the run, and can totally throw you off in the speed run. You basically would be looking at potentially facing a reset unless you know how to quickly recycle things in order to get them back the way you want them. And I'm going to skip the bonking mechanic here because if you screw it up, it does cost you a little bit more time, where it's just safer to just go ahead and do that from the marathon perspective.
Area secure.
A smooth cycling through this, it just goes through very nicely. It's very satisfying. Kind of cool because you're just like plugging right through, like nothing's stopping you. And the only thing you have to worry about is not squashing yourself by switching when you're still within the block. Makes things kind of bad when that occurs, so you obviously try to avoid that wherever you can in the speedrun and just keep going. And there's a very tight jump there that you can potentially make. If you miss it though, you drop in a bit of spikes, you lose a lot of time. We just do that to be a little bit more safe in regards to being able to get through the stage without it looking pretty bad. Alright, so new mechanic added here. We've got these ovens, which are constantly, will constantly relight fire. You can just basically turn them off for a little bit by spraying them, but they do bring their heat back, so you just have to cognizant of that as you're going to the front. And again, shorter shots kind of help manage those particular things whenever you need to use one of your platforms. So just have to be very careful. So we've got a tight jump that'll be coming up later in the stage, which will save you a good couple of seconds if you're able to do it. We're going to give it a shot, obviously, every time we do it. It's not any set detrimental if you miss it. You just basically are just going to have to do a slightly different maneuver technique to get through it, but it saves maybe a second or two, but I'm going to go for it anyway because it just looks swaggy as hell when you do it. Oh, see, and that's bad then. Okay, I'll show you. This is kind of what happens when you take a death. You get sent back to your last checkpoint. Depending on where that checkpoint is, can lose you a amount of time, and that was just because a jump input got eaten for some reason. So it's a very rare thing to happen in this game. It's usually fairly stable on the front. Okay, that's the jump I was looking for. So doing that saves me a little bit of time on taking the lower route, where you have to just deal with a couple of things. And my goodness, my jumping is just off right now. So now I got a problem. I've got to take this a little bit more careful because if I take one more hit, I'm dead.
Mission complete.
And that would be a detrimental amount of time loss if that happens. So we're going to definitely do what we're going to avoid. Okay, so there, I got a data this to kind of give me just a little bit extra help even though we're out of the stage. Did lose a little bit of time, so that was unfortunate, but that's fine. We're going to move on. That was just bad platforming on my part. Commentating at the same time as this is a first new experience for me, so I'm just taking a little bit of time to adjust to that. Something that just needs to be practiced. It takes a lot of focus when you're trying to use pure memory to get through some of these switching mechanics, and this can be a little bit of a trick. Take that slow, that's fine. I'm going to take an intentional damage here just because the guy kind of in the way and there's not a lot I can do about it. Teasing with that monster right there. Taking one damage is fine, taking two, not so fine. Alright, so now we're going to do a little bit of a sequence break here. So notice the shots are going off. And we just switch to be able to launch them back in because they still travel on their trajectory. And we use that to our advantage to just quickly get through that, especially since we're only one-shotting things. Ooh, that was close. I almost took a splatter. But we're clear. Alright, not bad, not bad. About 5 seconds off my best. I did do a couple of slight... Took me a little bit more to get through that one particular part. Alright, so now this one, we're going to bring the ovens back, and they're going to be very centered to the stage. So you have to be very cognizant of how far you're shooting in some jumps just to make sure that we're not going to land on them while they're aflame. It's just to save hit points. In case you don't get the RNG, you're getting an extra hit. So you could take some damage boost here, but the animation of her taking some hits is not worth it in the overall scope. So in some cases I would skip a couple here and miss kind of a technical jump there. It's not a huge thing if I do, but it just looks a little bit better, a little bit quicker if I was able to actually skip that or down on the bottom stove. And sometimes the game can be extremely generous with regards to giving you the health back if anything does go wrong. Other times not so much, like when you really want it, it won't give it to you. It can be kind of a pain when you're trying to go through these stages as quickly as possible. I'm going to take an intentional damage because I didn't want to wait for those to go down. I've got plenty of hit points, I'm not worried about it. As long as I make this cycle right here, we're good. And then we don't have to worry about switching here. We can actually squeeze through a lot of these, and I'll just take another potential damage through there right to waiting for those. Saves just a minor amount of time, I feel, so no problem. Alright.
Here to help.
11. This is where things get a little bit tricky because they start throwing everything at you. And normally you'd go through a very complicated sequence of events in order to get through there, but again, because of the mighty hose, we're able to just power through it. Ooh, good thing I didn't hit the switch again, I was about to. So you can see exactly how technical things get. Being able to time these things is pretty important in order to get a really good kind of speed run sense out of it. Again, very satisfying and really plow through the stage without any problems. The time losses can be minor. That's a pretty short speed run, so when we're talking RPM here, we're talking, you know, one little mistake could cost you a couple of spots, and there's not many runners in this particular game, so you know, it's not like that, but if you're really going for a really good time, you don't want to have those minor errors because there's not a lot of room for it. Alright, so you're going to see the first use of an intentional death blow. You notice I skipped that checkpoint just for the purposes of being able to squish myself, and it basically just works me right to the beginning of the stage, which happens to be right under Gem Number, so all we have to do is jump up and we're out of the stage. And I forgot to mash through that menu. Rip. No worries, we're good.
Let's go! Hot enough for ya?
Like I said, things start to get a little bit more complicated here at this part of the game. Just because the timing is extremely tight to be able to do some of the jumps that you're trying to do here. And obviously you're dealing with a lot of different other factors now as they start to throw the whole kitchen sink at you later in the game here. So what we're going to be trying to do here in a minute is set up... Oh, good lord, that was pretty bad. I'm just switching just a little too quick. It's no biggie, we'll still continue on. This is what I was trying to do. And I hit that checkpoint. I didn't mean to squish myself there either. No biggie. Just kind of rusty. It's not been a long time since I've been here, but it's been long enough that it... And that jump is extremely tight to make. It does save you just a little bit of time because then you don't have to worry about doing an additional cycle in order to be able to get there. So we're going to try to make it the time here. Just extra speed run strats. I'm going to try to get this 2 cycle here. And I failed that pretty hardcore because I didn't see the guy coming. Now she should be free. So yeah, we're definitely going to lose a little bit of time here. It's a little unfortunate what happened to the stage. It's not a huge deal. It still goes pretty quick. Way up par by a lot of stretch, but no death, so... But you can see it cost me 35 seconds for my best time just with what occurred. So it adds up to you. It adds up on the here. Now things start to get a little bit more complicated. But this is one of the cooler stages where you can use a mechanic that basically allows you to switch 2 at the same time. It counts you standing on both, so it changes the cycle of things, and then you're able to quickly go through things rather than repetitively. So you break it a little bit of the puzzle aspect by doing that particular one where you've got that ability to stand on those 2 at the same time, have it count for both of them, you switch, and you just kind of flip on through the stage like nothing ever happened. So it looks intended even though it's not. I'm going to take this a little bit safer. That's a very tight jump I was just trying to pull off there. Oops. No. And then I did that thinking it's not the usual cycle I'm used to in the speed run. So we're going to lose a little bit of time for that. We're just going to keep going. So this is exactly what it would look like. Fortunately, taking that is not from custom design for the particular run, so we'll just continue on like nothing happened there. kind of unfortunate that occurred that way, but sometimes it happens. No worries, we just keep plugging along. We're easily going to get our life back, so that's no problem. Cycle those to get the platforms that you need, and let's keep going. Boom! So we lost a little bit of time there. You'll see exactly what that cost me with that one particular mess up. It's about 10 seconds, so yeah, it was kind of painful in regards, but still got a pretty decent run going on right now. We've only got just a couple more levels to go. This one's very tight in regards to how you're doing things. You'll notice I'm shooting things to kind of get around. Switching blocks at the right time in order to get the proper setup for what we're going to do here. Quickly plow through that. You can use that as just a way of manipulating things here. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Where I'm able to shoot through that while it's going, so I'm basically not following the puzzles intended to use by doing that. Just a quicker way of... how bad does that throw me off? Okay. Throws me off pretty bad. But not a huge time loss, just a mistaken platforming is all. So it's all memory based. You gotta try to remember exactly what it is that you need to do. If you get thrown off, could take you a little bit of a couple seconds to be able to do that, but again, the sequence break there because of the way that the Mighty Hose works. Take this slower out because of the real sequence anyway. Trying to hurry and catch the cycle here. Got him. And that girl can easily be missed in a run. I've done it multiple times. That's something I wanted. Save a little bit of time by bringing those blocks back into place. And it gets a little scary with that monster right there because of the fact that it can actually kill you if you're down to one hit left. If anything goes really wrong with that particular stage, you're down with one hit, it gets to be kind of messy. Alright, we've got 2 stages left here. So now we start to see that things are really getting kind of crazy here, trying to figure out exactly why, right? It's got monsters everywhere, now they're going to start to throw the whole kit and caboodle, but it kind of looks like an old school stage, you know, from the old Atari days. Really cool with giant pixels and whatnot. I just like this stage, just looks aesthetic, which I really enjoy. And the platforming in this particular stage is just a lot of fun. And you can always tell basically throughout this entire thing like how you're doing when you're cycling just based on where monsters are and everything. You just get a good feeling about how well you're actually progressing in this particular stage. But again, I love the platforming here, and then we just have to kind of prep and be ready to know exactly what's going to be the work at certain points. A little bonk there, but no biggie. Wow, that guy did not want to die.
You can thank me later.
So normally you would use these monsters to, with their fire bolts, to be able to deal with some things. I'm gonna miss that jump. Oh god, I missed that jump twice, so I'm gonna lose a little bit of time here to do this the actual intended way. You can actually skip that whole section right there, which is really satisfying jumping to do it. It just feels so good when you're actually pulling out because you skip about 5 seconds worth of work there. Alright, so the final stage is coming up here. And unfortunately, because it's a speed run, and you know how games look to troll us speedrunners, this last stage is basically, in all intents and purposes, a auto-scroller. And what you're noticing is that rather than having controller switching, it now happens on a cycle. And then 3 red pulses, and then the next pulse is the switch. That's extremely tight, but when you get into the speed run, you feel just freaking phenomenal to be able to hit that cycle. It's very tight though. It's not hard, but it's very tight. Like if you mess up anything up to that point, you will miss it, and it's kind of bad. So basically, you just have to know the timing, make the jump at the proper time. Everything switches underneath you, and you're fine. Catch it, go. But again, it's basically an auto-scroller because of the fact that you're on this cycle in order for the blocks to switch. So you just have to do things, get everything prepped the way you want it, so you just get through it really quick. But again, the Mighty Hose makes this extremely easy. We're actually going to be able to skip a lot of things that we have to deal with in the actual run. And then we just basically manipulate everything else that we need through just knowledge of the actual puzzle. But there's a huge sequence break of this particular one. I'm not sure if it's intentional or not, but certainly simplifies this entire stage when it gets down to it. It's a lot of fun to do, actually, because you look and you see exactly what you're missing, and you just feel so glad. You feel so glad you're not dealing with it. It's kind of funny. Okay, so we've got everything set up for the next part. We're just going to pop right on through here. And again, because of the fact that we don't have to worry about these blocks being done the intended way, we do have to switch now. Unfortunately, you can't squeeze through these gaps the way that you saw earlier, but we do have this ability to just skip the rest of the stage where instead of having to go through minutes, I mean, this is probably a good 3 to 4 minutes. I'd say a good 3 minutes we're probably skipping right here. Maybe 2.5, but you can see puzzles you gotta deal with, and you've got like spikes, and you're like, how the heck are we supposed to get through all this? Well, it actually shoots you out, but yeah. Anyway, we're just gonna skip that whole thing. So it's very satisfying to do that. So you're like, well, okay, so there is one major thing, and we again don't know if it's intentional, like somebody forgot to put a block somewhere that would actually do it. But at any rate, we're now at final boss, so get ready. This is kind of a slow thing. There's no way to speed this up. You take 6 hits overall. Which are very quick with this one, obviously. We just want to catch these growths as he's spitting them out. So, if you were wondering where the growths are, well, congratulations. The final boss is Swallowed. And obviously, it's pretty much derived, but you can say that this is the thing that's been driving all of the fire that we've been dealing with throughout the entire game. And sometimes this boss can be nice, and sometimes he's not. I mean, his pattern is exactly the same. He basically shoots that low fireball and then the higher fireball after every time you hit him. And really, you just have to avoid the fireball, shoot him in the eye as you're coming down, and no biggie. So, again, no RNG with this boss. It's very cycling. The only RNG, again, is just getting maybe some health drops if you're taking damage that you shouldn't necessarily take in this fight, but it can happen. These fireballs are not exactly easy to jump over. Sometimes there's actually emergencies. Ooh, I almost didn't get all the hits there. I thought I did, but I wasn't sure. Alright, so we got 1 hit to go, 1 hit to go. And that's time. So that's this game in a nutshell, basically. You get a big explosion, celebratory dance, she shakes a butt, Gendarmer comes in, and yes, we are done. So, very short run, easily sub 30. This was a very conservative run that I was doing for marathon's sake. I had a couple of mistakes in there, obviously, which drove that, but get to sit back, enjoy one of the better songs that I think that anyone has ever had, and I'm gonna bid you adieu for this particular speed run. I hope that you consider this for consideration to be run in the upcoming GDQ event, and this will be JT Norimaki signing off. Look forward to a showcased run of 100% New Game Plus, where I'll showcase exactly what's going on there. You can submit that for, again, a donation incentive. I wouldn't want that to be the primary run without that being met, I think would be a good way to go. I mean, if you'd rather we run that, we certainly can do that. But at any rate, this is pretty much it. We're just going to speed through the credits. There's nothing else to see other than the time and what happens here. So again, thank you so much for your consideration. Look forward to at least attending the event in regards, but that'll do it for this particular video. Again, thank you so much for your time, and this is JT Norimaki signing off.